Let's talk about the application of quotes to arguments. There are two major umbrellas under which quotes can be applied. There are the academic, usually lengthy quotes, typically taken from studies or lectures that go into detail on analysis of content that's usually scientific in nature. The other kind is soundbite quotes, usually taken from speeches or off-the-cuff commentary on various issues. Both can be useful and effective when properly applied. In the course of arguments, only the first type of quote should be used as evidence, and that type of quote needs to be given full and fair context for the speaker or writer being attributed. Because it's usually difficult to memorize direct, formally written information and repeat it with valid attribution, this kind of argument is typically best reserved for written, formal arguments, not verbal discourse. If your memory banks don't have immediate access to a scientific source with objective proofs for your position, then stick to founding an argument on logical principles until the immediate source material becomes directly available, or you can simply paraphrase it and refer your opponent to the material directly. Understand, though, that doing so doesn't give you an automatic win in the argument. Now, while the soundbite style quotes are far more popular and lend themselves far more to internet memes, posters, bumper stickers, and so forth, they have no place in argumentation, and it's a mistake that I see on both sides of many arguments too frequently. Those quotes are almost nothing more than an eloquently expressed opinion, oftentimes using fulcrum phrases or other rhetorical devices to give them a bit extra zing to the ears. Mind you, that doesn't render the quote useless, it's just useless in the course of argumentation. The best application for this quote is to present your feelings on an issue by expressing them in a way that someone else already has done far more efficiently and eloquently than you have. If you're familiar with Jimmy Carter or Langston Hughes having already perfectly expressed your point of view in their own words, then there's nothing wrong with using those words to present your position on the matter. The problem comes if you stop there and think there's no need to prove your position is grounded in fact and logic because, hell, some famous historical figure agrees with me. That's not enough. Your opponents just have to find a historical figure that agree with them, and then it becomes a big fat appeal to false authority debate. All you both have done at that point is to clearly state your opinions that noted that some historical figure seems to have agreed with you. No matter what great person from history you may reference, the fact that he or she was a great leader, humanitarian, or even scientist doesn't automatically make them right about everything, and it doesn't automatically win you an argument just for siding with him or her. That being said, there are a few quotes that get thrown around from some fairly bright people that I pretty clearly disagree with, and I want to take this opportunity to address a few. "Those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither," attributed to Benjamin Franklin. Well, that's just bullshit. We don't live in a society that grants absolute freedom because it would be unsafe. We sacrifice the freedom to drive at any speed to make the highway a more safe and secure location. We sacrifice the freedom to murder people who get on our nerves to live in a safer and more secure society. And any increase of security requires the forfeit of some freedom, and it's smarter to argue for what you think a healthy balance of the two is than to assume that you don't deserve freedom or security just because you're willing to make the essential sacrifice of one for the other. "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." That's attributed to Albert Einstein. No. Science without religion is lame? What the hell does that even mean? Well, one can only reasonably interpret it as Albert Einstein saying that looking at the world from a strictly scientific point of view is dull or clinical compared to the spiritual mythos offered by religion. Bear in mind that he was a physicist, not an embryologist or a biologist. Those who try to use this quote from a renowned physicist who died in 1955 as proof of God is laughable. It's even more laughable when they try to argue the theory of evolution against a modern biologist because a famous scientist said something good about religion. Therefore, everyone who appreciates science is supposed to dogmatically bend to the quotes of Einstein. "It's useless to attempt to reason a man out of a thing he was never reasoned into." Jonathan Swift. I hear this one all too frequently when I make videos trying to patiently respond to the illogical nature of theistic arguments or assertions. people insist that I'm wasting my time speaking to religious people who will never change their minds because they're not smart enough to. They're just slack-jawed idiots who I'm wasting my time on, and they use this bullshit quote as popularly attributed to an otherwise clever writer as proof of their ignorant assertion. I'm living proof that this quote is absurd, as I used to be religious, and it wasn't something I was ever reasoned into. I was indoctrinated into it, and amongst non-believers, I'm not some shining rarity. Many former theists who didn't reason their way into religion did reason their way out of it, including some of those foolish and forgetful enough to actually use this quote in the course of argument. Don't do that.